WECT proudly celebrates Black History Month. Join us all month long as we highlight some of the people, places, and events that shaped Black history right here in southeastern North Carolina and beyond. Freeman Park was one of the two beaches in North Carolina for African Americans during the Jim Crow era. During that time, Carolina Beach was for white visitors, and Seabreeze, now called Freeman Park, was for African Americans. The property and the park itself are named after the Freeman family. Most of the land was initially owned by Bruce Freeman. Family members developed the oceanfront as what came to be known as Freeman Beach. It became a popular destination for African Americans seeking pleasure and seaside entertainment at a time when much of the coastline of the American South was segregated. Over the years, it was divided among Freeman family heirs, but in the mid-2000s, other private parties began purchasing the land from the Freeman family.